Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let me check my volume. Hope everyone is doing okay. If you guys enjoy the content, of course, feel free to share, like, subscribe. Of course, you can always support through Patreon. I would imagine that if you had a sandbox world, and in that sandbox world, people themselves, even if they're being reasonable, good actors, may find themselves in situations where they need to defend themselves. In the same way I can see people being in that situation, I can kind of see states and nations. Even in the best of situations, interests may coincide or collide. So I can see this thing of nations, again, feeling the need to defend themselves against other nations. Britain set the White House on fire. So, yeah, it leaves a mark. Now, that being said, the nations themselves, of course, in order to defend themselves, use human beings because the nation is not really a real thing. Human beings are. Human beings are the ones that are drawn up in order to defend the state, the nation state. The men on the wall, they put bodies on the wall in Fortress America of sorts. Department of Defense. We like to call it defense. We like to call it defense for moral reasons. We don't like to feel like we're attacking and beating and punching somebody in the nose. Interesting part here, though, is in order to get people to do this, because ultimately what you're asking people is to sacrifice their bodies, either to kill and murder and to maim, or to take a beating, or to be killed, or to be murdered and maimed themselves. You can't just say, hey buddy, I give you $20,000, would you like to do X? Ultimately, this is drilled into human beings. And this programming that's drilled into human beings gets a few points across. That fighting for your nation is good. Fighting for your country is good. We show patriotic assemblage of iconography with a flag. We show people in movies, these steel jaw men running, holding the flag as they die and shooting at the exact same time, killing the bad guy. They're so heroic. These muscular men doing these things that are somewhat grimy, but are shown in such a decent and positive light because they're doing them for their country. And that's supposed to be a good and positive thing. When people get into the military, though, the good and positive thing is kind of the point. They're doing this because they believe they're doing a good and positive thing. They believe that they will be the man on the wall, that what they will be asked to do, to put their body on the line, so again, to get killed or to kill, will be for good ends, that they will be a man on the wall. It's not called the Department of War anymore, even though it should be. It's called the Department of Defense. We are doing these things because we're trying to defend our nation state. I think that's why people join, if I'm being honest. So you can imagine the oddity and the weirdness that I think some people may feel when they see that they've leveraged their bravery in order to help a batshit crazy lunatic regime that chops off heads and hands, Saudi Arabia, as it takes down and starves and murders Yemenis. Us helping that particular regime, the people who believe they're the good guys, who believe they're the men on the wall, who believe that they're protecting this country, that they will be asked to do things in the defense of this country, is helping a lunatic regime murder and starve Yemenis. I'm trying to make this point clear, the disparity between what you get into the military for versus what they're having these people to do. This gets up, meaning the ante has been up, as Saudi Arabia has been attacking one of the bases, or one of the only ports that supplies food and resources to the city, or to that particular city. Hundreds of thousands of children are up to be killed in this next attack, as you can call it. This attack is already on the way. They understand that, and they don't care about that, and we have still been providing them with intel and resources to assist them in what they're doing. did the people who signed up really sign up for this? I'm trying to, again, make this a disparity between what they signed up for versus what we have our soldiers, our brave men and women, steel jaws, courageous, having them working and assisting a lunatic regime murder and starve Yemenis. They're about to attack a port city with our assistance. The ante gets upped again when this story comes out today. Apparently, the Yemeni jail that the UAE has been holding, again backed by the United States, has been systematically raping their inmates as just due course. At one point, as if people cry out, he says, "I'm just doing my job. I'm just raping you for a living." We didn't sign up for this. Meaning, not me, but the people who signed up did not sign up for this. They were raping other human beings with our assistance, using our logistics. Why are we helping this? Why are these guys? Let's take a look at the story. Let's see. Yeah. The 15 officers who arrived at the prison in southern Yemen hid their faces behind headdresses, but their accents were clearly foreign. From the UAE, they lined up the detainees and ordered them to undress and lie down. The officers then searched the anal cavities of each prisoner, claiming that they were looking for contraband cell phones. They were looking in their ass for cell phones. The men screamed and wept. Those who resisted were threatened by barking dogs and beaten until they bled. Hundreds of detainees suffered similar sexual abuse during the event on March 10th at Bayar Ahmed prison in the southern city of Aden, according to 7 witnesses interviewed by the Associated Press. Descriptions of the mass abuse offer a window into the world of rampant sexual torture and impunity the UAE controlled prisons in Yemen. The UAE is a key U.S. ally whose secret prisons and widespread torture were exposed by the AP investigation last June. The AP has since identified at least 5 prisons where security officers use sexual torture to brutalize and break inmates. We are helping these maniacs. They are literally having their inmates, their prisoners. I mean, they're prisoners, systematically raped. We are helping them. I'm trying to get this point across to either members of Congress or my onlookers who think that our assistance to these guys is some kind of good thing. It is not. It is not. Yemen's war began in 2015 after Iranian-backed Houthi. We don't know how much of a backing Iranian has given them. This is not necessarily true. Iranian has backed them from the standpoint of, yes, they may support them because they're more in line with their ideology, but that it's not necessarily as Iran as full-throatedly backing them. I'm trying to make this distinction between the way this sounds as if Iran gave them their full-throated support and resources, and it's not necessarily, that may not necessarily be the case. But whatever. Houthi rebels took over much of the country's north. Saudi Arabia and UAE are leading a coalition to fight the rebels, but the UAE forces have overtaken wide swaths of territory, towns, and cities in the south. The United States is backing the coalition with billions of dollars in arms and partners with the United Emirates in anti-terrorism campaigns. It's not anti-terrorism campaigns. It's a war. You understand that they're not terrorists. It's a war. It's 2 militaries. One military has taken over the capital. The United States is supporting Saudi Arabia and UAE in order to essentially attack that new government. The people that we are backing is systematically raping the men in those prisons. We are giving these lunatics billions of dollars. Witness said Yemeni guards worked under the direction of Emirati officers have used various methods of sexual torture and humiliation. They raped detainees while other guards filmed their assaults. They electrocuted prisoners' genitals or hung rocks from their testicles. They sexually violated others with wooden and steel poles. They'll strip you naked, tie your hands to a steel pole from the right and the left, so you're spread open in front of them. Then they sodomizing starts, one father of four said. The artist told the AP that he was detained last year and has been in 3 different prisons. They tortured me without ever accusing me of anything. Sometimes I just wish they would give me a charge so I can confess and in this pain, he said. The worst thing about it is that I wish for death every day, and I can't find it. This sounds a lot like Lindsey Graham. If you remember, Lindsey Graham wanted to hold people without giving them a trial, without even necessarily needing to tell them what they were charged with. Lindsey Graham wanted to be able to take somebody and say, we are in a time of war, that guy's an enemy combatant, take him away. No trial necessary. No trial necessary. Let's keep going. Let's hear some more stories. We're backing these guys. We might as well hear what's taking place with our cash. An incident in March began when soldiers opened a cell at 8 a.m., ordered all detainees out to the prison yard, then lined them up and forced them to stand under the sun until noon. When the Emirati force arrived, the detainees were blindfolded, handcuffed, and led in groups or individually into a room. The Emiratis told the victims to undress, lie down, and spread their legs open, touch their genitals, and probed their rectums. You're killing my dignity, one prisoner was heard crying. A second screamed to the Emiratis, did you come to liberate us or strip our clothes off? The Emirati shouted back, this is our job. This is our job. One prisoner said that when the Emirati forced them to stand naked, all I could think was of Abu Ghraib, referring to the prison outside of Baghdad where the United States soldiers committed torture, don't call it abuse, committed torture against detainees with the Iraqi war. They were searching for mobile phones inside our bodies, another witness told the AP. Do you believe this? How could anyone hide a phone in there? Sounds like some an American cop would say. We're looking for drugs. We're looking for drugs. Small intestines. Maybe housing them. In the same city, UAE-run prison inside the Burqa military base, 2 prisoners told the AP they think American personnel in uniform must be aware of the torture, either because they have heard screams or seen marks on torture. Prisoners said that they have no knowledge of Americans being directly involved in the abuse. That's positive. Yeah, that's positive. We give them our money. But fortunately, we don't get our hands dirty at the very least from this level of abuse. Americans use Emiratis as gloves to do their dirty work, said the senior security officer at the Riyadh prison in the city of Malkala. He spoke on condition of anonymity because of security concerns. He did not want to also be searched for a cell phone. 2 of the security officers who was once close to Emirati said the mercenaries, included Americans, are present at all times in the Emirati military camps and sites, including the prisons. Their missions is mainly to guard. There are Americans there that are watching men being anally raped. That's giving them their money, might as well see how it's used. It's beyond imagination, he said. A former security chief, who himself was involved in torturing detainees to extract confessions, told the AP that rape is used as a way of forcing detainees to cooperate with the Emiratis in spying. In some cases, they rape the detainee, film him while being raped, use it as a way to force him to work for him, he said. He spoke on condition of anonymity because of security concerns. Again, he didn't also want to be checked for a cell phone. Based on the AP investigation last year, the House of Representatives voted May 24th to require Defense Secretary Jim Mattis to determine whether the United States military or intelligence personnel violated the law in interrogations of detainees in Yemen. That's the least you can do. The House adopted the measure as part of the 2019 Defense Authorization Bill, which is still under consideration by the Senate. The amendment was sponsored by Representative Ro Khanna. Good on Ro Khanna, Democrat from California. The Defense Department would have to submit a report within 120 days to Congress. Khanna called the AP's report Wednesday a shocking revelation of the ongoing human rights abuses happening in Yemen. Now, with greater urgency than ever before, we need the Pentagon to launch an investigation and determine whether or not our nation has been involved in torturing prisoners in Yemen. There are no enemies at our gates, at least none that are in Yemen. We should not be in Yemen. The war is massively illegal. We should not be giving them weapons. We should not give them resources. And then to know that part of the billions of dollars of taxpayers' money has gone into one man raping another man in order to potentially get information and blackmail and film that person. This is amazing. This is utterly atrocious. And we, ourselves, both administrations, have been assisting in this behavior. Donald Trump, he may not have a video of him peeing on somebody, but it seems that the money that he's been given to Saudi Arabia has been used to help other men rape other men. That's great. Mike Pence's head is going to explode when he hears about this. So I'm going to leave this here. This is pretty amazing. So there's not much else to say about this. It's completely outrageous that we're helping them in the first place. I mean, right by itself, the fact that we're helping them murder and starve these people is bad enough. And then you add essentially torture camps, black sites, where grown men fuck other men in order to extract information from those men. Yeah, it sounds a lot like Abu Ghraib. At the very least, apparently, we only paid them. We didn't participate in the torture itself. Alright, guys. Thanks.